Me and Chris Hayes was along the same lines of thinking yesterday because I was in the middle of doing a segment on Trump and how much he protects these institutions that are robbing America by rolling back regulations, how he protects by allowing laws to be made to make it softer on predatory crimes. So Chris Hayes did a whole nother segment on the criminal aspect of how Donald Trump protects the criminals. So I'm going to run a few, examples of that, and then I'm going to tell you some other ends of how Donald Trump is changing America by making us into the very thing we used to go to other countries to fight against.
On his first day in office, Donald Trump pardoned every last one of the January 6th insurrectionists who stormed the Capitol and attempted a coup against the U.S. government on his behalf. Roughly 1,500 convicted or suspected accused criminals. They included hundreds who were handed lengthy sentences for very serious felonies, such as assaulting police with deadly weapons. Many of those rioters have had, maybe you won't be shocked to hear this, serious brushes with the law since they were pardoned. Andrew Tate is one example. He used a metal whip and bear spray to assault police officers at the Capitol. He was sentenced to 6 years after bragging about these crimes to a woman on a dating app. 2 weeks after being pardoned by Trump and freed from prison, he was arrested in Texas for soliciting a minor for sex. Then on the second day of his presidency, Donald Trump pardoned Ross Ulbricht, founder of the Silk Road and online black market for drug dealing. The guy took hundreds of millions in commissions on sales of methamphetamine, cocaine, heroin, and other opioids. I mean, you could make a case he was the biggest drug dealer in American history. He was serving 2 life sentences without the possibility of parole when Donald Trump pardoned him unconditionally. On his third day in office, Trump pardoned Washington, D.C. police officer Tara Sutton and Lieutenant Andrew Zabowski. Sutton illegally chased a 20-year-old man on a moped for 10 blocks. He struck another car and died in the crash. The 2 officers then tried to cover up their role in his death. They were sentenced to hard time for obstructing justice. Trump pardoned them, falsely claiming the motorist they had killed was illegal. They have since been reinstated to the D.C. police force. Trump also pardoned former Illinois Governor Rod Blagojevich, convicted on 17 counts of corruption, including an attempt that we all remember and all heard to sell off Barack Obama's former Senate seat. Trump pardoned him using the former Democrats' criminal case as a way to discount the myriad investigations, indictments, and convictions that he faced. He pardoned Brian Kelsey, a Republican former Tennessee state senator, a guy that was 2 weeks into a 21-month sentence for a campaign finance fraud when Trump pardoned him. He illegally funneled nearly $100,000 into a failed congressional campaign. In May, Trump pardoned Todd and Julie Chrisley, TV reality stars who were serving federal prison sentences for wire and bank fraud. The lavish lifestyle they flaunted on air was apparently bankrolled by fraudulent bank loans the couple hid from tax authorities. They were two of nearly 24 convicted fraudsters, thieves, and drug dealers Trump pardoned in May. Again, this is way beyond the pace of any president in my lifetime. He also pardoned Trevor Milton. He was the founder of an electric truck company. He was sentenced to federal prison for exaggerating the company's technology, up to and including a fake commercial in which they pushed an immobile model of the truck down a hill to make it look like it could really drive fast.
With all the cameras in place, the director calls action and sends the truck. Powered by nothing but gravity, this shell of a truck gathers a big head of steam. By the time it passes the film crew, it's cruising at interstate speed. Beautiful. Cut.
The truck didn't actually work. Milton went to jail for it because he defrauded people. Last year, he donated $1.8 million to Donald Trump's campaign, and Trump pardoned him in March. Thanks to that pardon, Milton will not need to compensate his shareholders who lost millions. Now, that is just a partial list of Trump's pardons and commutations since he took office 7 months ago. It's a wild list. It's unlike any list I've ever seen or ever covered. But in that time, he has also gone out of his way to accommodate some of the worst accused and convicted criminals you can imagine, like the manosphere influencers Andrew and Tristan Tate, who have been accused in multiple countries of rape, human trafficking, and sex with minors. In fact, they have been held for 3 years on charges in Romania when allies in the Trump administration worked to have them repatriated to the U.S. And within weeks of being at home, Andrew Tate, who denies the many, many horrible charges against him, faced new legal trouble.
In a civil suit filed in Los Angeles this week, model Bree Stern accusing Tate of sexually assaulting and choking her at the Beverly Hills Hotel earlier this month. Stern sitting down with NBC News from Los Angeles in her first interview about that night.
Talk to me about what was going through your mind in that moment.
I was scared to death. I was terrified that I might die.
So we all know how she felt. But the point that I was trying to make was, it's so obvious how bad our president is. It's so obvious that you can pay him to get away with just about anything. I mean, these are all facts. This ain't hyperbole. This ain't, something that we think is happening. This is facts. This is facts. But let me give you a couple of other facts, because he touched lightly on corporations that are defrauding, like the electric truck company, and how he paid $1.25 million to get free. But not only to get free, to not have to pay a dime back of that investor's money. So Trump is saying, well, give me the money because you got it by fraudulent means, and I'll let you go. Your investors be damned. Because we all know he don't pay his investors or his employees as proper as he should. But let's go into this. You see, Donald Trump also is promoting Pete Hegseth's Christianity moves to be associated with the White House, as to say this is the American way to protect sexual predators and to take away the rights of women to vote.
In 2005, a member of the church named Stephen Sittler, and this church is Christ Church, he pleaded guilty to felony child sex abuse charges, a bunch of them, a bunch of victims. In 2006, Christ Church receives criticism for slow disclosure to the church members regarding Sittler.
Now, this is the church that Pete Hegseth is putting forward to say they are aligned, meaning the Trump administration, with the pastor of this church in D.C.
Later in 2006, Doug Wilson, that's the guy that was just talking about Pete giving, saying amen to Christ Church. In 2006, that guy, Doug Wilson, found Sittler, the confessed pedophile that pleaded guilty to felony child sex abuse charges. He found him to be repentant, and he accepts him back into the church again. And Wilson, the pastor of this church, writes a letter to the judge vouching for this pedophile. And so in 2007, Sittler, the pedophile, is released from prison, and Wilson refers to him as a, quote, forgiven sinner, and Wilson offers pastoral oversight to monitor this pedophile. 2011, Stephen Sittler, the pedophile, gets married, and Doug Wilson officiates the wedding, and the pedophile and the wife have a baby. In 2015, Sittler sexually abuses his infant son and confesses to it. And then later, after this abuse to the infant son and his confession of abusing the infant son, Doug Wilson, the pastor of the Secretary of Defense of the United States of America, published an open letter saying that Sittler was welcome in the church.